The old cargo ship Morning Calm drifted slowly into Centauri Station's docking area. Its hull was covered in rust spots and old paint that peeled off in large patches. Captain Du Jin stood quietly on the bridge, watching through the front window as other ships moved away from his vessel, as if they were afraid the rust might spread to their shiny hulls. "They're laughing at us again, Captain," First Officer Song Mai said, her hands tight on the control panel. She pointed to a group of aliens standing at the station's viewing window. They were pointing and making faces at the Morning Calm. Du Jin nodded but said nothing. He was used to this. His ship looked like it could fall apart at any moment. That was exactly what he wanted them to think. Centauri Station Control to Rust Bucket Morning Calm. A mocking voice came through the radio. "You're cleared for docking bay 17. Try not to leave any rust flakes on our clean station." Song Mi's face turned red with anger, but Du Jin placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Thank you, Control," he said calmly. Morning Calm acknowledges. The ship moved slowly into the docking bay, its engines making loud, rough noises. Other crew members on the bridge, Communications Officer Jia and Navigator Taiwan, kept their eyes on their work, pretending not to hear the laughs and jokes coming through the radio. As they docked, Du Jin looked at the news playing on a small screen. The Stellar Alliance was getting more aggressive every day. 3 Earth colonies had reported Alliance ships entering their space without permission. Everyone knew the Alliance looked down on humans, thinking they were too primitive to be worth respecting. "Docking complete," Captain Taiwan reported, "though they gave us the worst bay again. It's far from the main station areas." "That's fine," Du Jin said. He watched through the cameras as station workers walked past their ship, holding their noses as if the Morning Calm smelled bad. Some took pictures, probably to share jokes about the human junk ship later. Song Mi stood up from her station. "Captain, I request permission to go to the station's trade office. We need to register our cargo, but..." She paused, her face showing worry. "Last time I went, they'd made me wait 6 hours while they served everyone else first." Du Jin turned to Jia. "Go with her. 2 officers might get better treatment." He knew it probably wouldn't help, but he hated sending his crew alone to face the mockery. As Song Mi and Jia left the bridge, Du Jin walked to the ship's main window. He could see a huge Alliance warship docked nearby. It was all shiny metal and sharp angles, with weapon ports clearly visible. The Alliance liked to show off their military power, especially around human ships. "They're so proud," Taiwan said quietly, standing next to his captain. "They think having the biggest guns makes them the strongest." Du Jin allowed himself a small smile. "Pride comes before a fall, Taiwan. Remember that." A loud bang echoed through the ship, making several crew members jump. "Sorry, Captain," came a voice from below. "Just the engine cooling down. You know how old these systems are." "Carry on," Du Jin called back, exchanging a knowing look with Taiwan. They both knew there was nothing wrong with the engines. The bang had been perfectly timed, just another part of their act. 2 hours later, Song Mi and Jia returned to the bridge. They looked tired and angry. "The trade office made us fill out every form 3 times, Song Mi reported. "They said our first 2 attempts were too messy to read. Then they charged us double the usual docking fee because we're a high-risk vessel that might contaminate their station." Du Jin nodded and approved the payment without complaint. Every credit they paid, every insult they took, was worth it. The Alliance and their allies needed to keep believing that humanity was weak, primitive, and harmless. "Captain," Jia said, her voice low, "I overheard something in the station. The Alliance is planning to increase their patrols near the Newton colony. They say it's to protect against pirates, but we all know there haven't been pirates in that sector for years," Du Jin finished. He made a note in his personal log. This information would be valuable later. As night cycle began on the station, Du Jin stood in his private cabin, looking at his reflection in the window. Behind him, The mighty Alliance warship glowed with bright lights, showing off its power to everyone. His own ship sat in darkness, looking abandoned and worthless. Perfect, he thought. Let them mock our rusty hull. Let them think we're barely holding together. Let them laugh. They wouldn't be laughing much longer. After most of the station's lights dimmed for night cycle, Chief Engineer Ta-1 walked through the empty corridors of morning calm. The broken panel slid aside silently, revealing a bright, clean room full of advanced computers. This was the real engine control room of morning calm, not the noisy, dirty space they showed to visitors. "How are our real engines tonight?" Captain Du Jin asked, entering the room through another hidden door. "Running at 98% efficiency," Ta-1 replied proudly. "The fusion core is perfect. Those loud noises they hear, just sound effects we play through external speakers." Du Jin nodded, looking at the screen showing the ship's true systems. Behind its rusty walls, Morning Calm was one of the most advanced warships ever built by humans. Its weapons were hidden inside what looked like broken cargo containers. Its armor was disguised under patches of rust and fake damage. The Alliance inspectors were fooled again, Ta-1 said with a small laugh. They spent an hour examining our leaky fuel tanks, never even noticed the real tanks hidden underneath. A soft beep came from one of the computers. "Security alert," a quiet voice announced. "Unknown person approaching Sector 7. Du Jin quickly checked the camera feeds. "It's just Song Mei," he said. "Let her in." Another hidden door opened, and First Officer Song Mei entered. She was carrying what looked like an old data pad, but it was actually an advanced scanner. "Captain, you need to see this," she said. "I did a full scan of that Alliance warship while they were busy laughing at our ship." She placed the pad on the control panel. Clear images appeared, showing the inside of the Alliance vessel. "They've added new weapon systems," she reported. "Bigger than anything they've shown in public. I think they're preparing for something big." "Send copies to Earth Command," Du Jin ordered. "Use the quantum transmitter." Ta-1 pressed some buttons on his console. Part of the floor slid open, and a sleek communication device rose up. It looked nothing like the old radio systems visible in the ship's main communication room. This device could send messages instantly to Earth, using technology the Alliance thought humans were too primitive to understand. "Message sent," Ta-1 confirmed. "Earth Command says thank you, and they want us to stay at the station for 2 more days. They think the Alliance ship might lead us to something important." Du Jin walked to another hidden panel and pressed a button. A large screen appeared, showing a map of the station and nearby space. Small dots marked the positions of other ships. "Their patrol patterns are changing," he noted. "They're moving more ships toward the outer colonies, like they're preparing to surround them." Song Mei added. A quiet knock echoed through one of the hidden doors. 3 quick taps, then 2 slow ones. The crew's secret signal. "Enter," Du Jin called. Communications Officer Jaya slipped into the room. "Captain, I placed the listening devices like you asked. They look just like pieces of broken metal that fell off our ship." She smiled. "The station workers actually thanked me for cleaning up our space junk." "Any interesting conversations yet?" Song Mei asked. Jaya nodded. "The Alliance officers like to drink at a bar near Docking Bay 12. They talk a lot when they're drunk. They mentioned something called Operation Clean Sweep. They didn't give details, but it sounds like they're planning to attack several human colonies at once." Du Jin's face grew serious. "They think it will be easy because we're weak, because all they've seen are cargo ships and old colonies." He touched a hidden panel on the wall, and it slid aside to reveal a weapons locker full of advanced guns and armor. "They've never seen our real strength." "Should we tell the crew to prepare for action?" Song Mei asked. "Not yet," Du Jin replied. "We need to maintain our cover a little longer. Tell them to keep acting normal. Fix things slowly. Make lots of noise. Let our engines smoke a little more than usual." Ta-1 checked another screen. The fake reactor leak in Section 4 is working perfectly. I've got it releasing harmless steam that looks like radiation. The Alliance sensors are picking it up, but their officers are too busy laughing to realize it's not real. Good, Du Jin said. The more they laugh, the less they look closely. The more they mock us, the more surprised they'll be when they learn the truth, Song Mi finished. As if to prove their point, they heard loud laughter through the ship's external microphones. Some station workers were walking past, pointing at the Morning Calm's rusty hull and making jokes. Let them laugh, Du Jin thought. Soon, they would learn that humanity's weakness was just a mask, and underneath that mask was something that would make them regret every mocking word. Jia sat at her hidden communication station, listening to dozens of radio signals from across space. Her real equipment was nothing like the old radio set that sat on the bridge. Through her advanced receivers, she could hear everything happening in this part of space. Suddenly, she sat up straight. "Captain," she called through the secure comm system. "Emergency signal from the Newton Colony transport." Du Jin was in his private room, but he rushed to the hidden command center. Song Mi and Taiwan joined them quickly. On the main screen, they could see a small transport ship running from 3 Alliance warships. "This is Transport Ship Hope." A scared voice came through the speakers. "We are carrying families and children. We have no weapons. Please stop firing." The crew of Morning Calm watched in silence as the Alliance ships fired warning shots around the transport. They were playing with it, like cats playing with a mouse. "We have to help them," Song Mi said, her hands tight in fists. "We can't," Du Jin replied, though his voice was heavy with pain. "Not yet. If we reveal ourselves now, we'll lose our chance to stop their bigger attack." On the screen, the transport tried to run, but it was too slow. The Alliance ships surrounded it. "Your ship entered restricted space," an Alliance commander announced. His voice was cold. "You will surrender for inspection." "We have proper papers," the transport captain answered. "We're carrying children to safety." "Your papers mean nothing," the Alliance commander said. "Human papers are as worthless as human ships." Jaya's screen lit up with more emergency signals. "Captain, 5 more Alliance groups are attacking human ships in other sectors," she reported. "They're doing this everywhere." Du Jin watched as the Alliance ships forced the transport to dock with their main vessel. Through the transport's cameras, they could see scared families being marched out at gunpoint. "Send everything to Earth Command," Du Jin ordered. "Every video, every sound. They need to see what's happening." Taiwan worked quickly at his station. Message sent through quantum channels. Earth Command responds. "Hold position. Gather more evidence. Help is coming." More emergency calls filled their speakers. Jia tried to answer each one, using their fake radio to offer what little help they could without revealing their true nature. But they could only watch as more human ships were stopped, searched, and sometimes destroyed by Alliance forces. "They're getting bolder," Song Mi said, watching another trade ship being forced to surrender. "They think nobody can stop them." A loud bang shook their ship. Du Jin checked the external cameras. A group of drunk Alliance officers were throwing rocks at Morning Calm's hull, laughing as each one hit. "Look at this piece of human junk," one officer shouted. "This is why humans don't deserve space. They can't even build proper ships." Through another camera, they saw the transport ships' families being marched through the station in chains. Station security did nothing to help. Some even joined in laughing at the humans. "Captain," Jaya said quietly, "I'm picking up Alliance command signals. They're planning to attack the Newton colony itself. They say it will be a lesson to humanity." Du Jin stood in silence, watching both screens. On one, innocent families were being abused. On the other, Alliance officers continued throwing rocks at his ship. "Sir," Taiwan reported, "Earth Command has sent new orders. Continue mission. Do not engage." Another rock hit their hull. Through the camera, they could see a young human child watching, crying as the Alliance officers mocked what he thought was humanity's best ship. "Captain," Songmai said softly, "how many more have to suffer while we hide?" Dojin walked to the main weapons console. His hand hovered over the activation switch that would bring their real systems online. Years of planning, years of gathering intelligence, all of it could be lost if they acted too soon. Another emergency signal came through. Another human ship was being attacked. "Sir," Jaya said, her voice shaking, "the Newton colony transport. They're not just arresting them. She couldn't finish." Dojin looked at his crew. Each of them stood ready at their real stations, waiting for his order. Outside, the laughter of Alliance officers continued as more rocks hit their hull. "Send one last message to Earth Command," he ordered. "The enemy has crossed the line. We can no longer stand by." Morning Calm moving to engage. He looked at the screen showing the Alliance officers still mocking his ship. They were about to learn that humanity's greatest weapon was the enemy's own pride. "Enough is enough," Dojin said quietly. "Bring all systems online. It's time to show them what a real human ship can do." "Rusty human ship, this is Alliance Cruiser Dominant. You will submit to immediate inspection." The Alliance commander's voice was full of mock politeness. "We wouldn't want your fine vessel to be carrying anything dangerous." Captain Dojin looked at his crew in the hidden command center. They all nodded, ready for what would come next. "This is Morning Calm," he replied in a shaky voice, playing his part one last time. "Please, we're just a simple cargo ship." The Alliance cruiser moved closer, its weapons pointed at Morning Calm. Through the cameras, Dojin could see the Alliance crew laughing on their bridge. They thought this would be easy. Just another chance to bully humans. "Prepare for boarding," the Alliance commander ordered. "Try not to get rust on your uniforms, men." More laughter followed. Dojin pressed a button on his real command console. Throughout the ship, hidden systems came alive. The quantum computers started up. Weapon systems warmed up behind their rusty covers. The fake engine sound stopped, replaced by the quiet hum of real power. "Sir," Jaya reported from her station, "3 more Alliance ships are coming to watch. They think it's going to be funny." "Let them come," Dojin said quietly. "Let them all see." The Alliance cruiser was now very close. Its boarding tubes were reaching out to connect with Morning Calm's airlocks. They didn't even have their shields up. Why waste energy when dealing with a harmless human ship? "Now," Dojin ordered. Taiwan's fingers flew across his console. Across the Morning Calm's hull, the fake rust began to fall away. Panels that looked broken slid aside. Hidden weapon ports opened. The ship's real armor appeared, shining and strong. "What?" The Alliance commander's voice lost its mocking tone. "What is this?" "This," Dojin said, his voice now firm and clear, "is a real human ship." Morning Calm's first shot hit the boarding tubes, cutting them in half. Its second shot disabled the Alliance cruiser's main weapons before they could even power up. The third shot took out their engines. "Impossible," the Alliance commander shouted. "You're just a cargo ship. You're primitive. We're what you feared we might be," Dojin interrupted. "Computer, drop all camouflage." The last pieces of fake rust fell away. Hidden lights came on. Morning Calm's real hull gleamed like polished steel. Weapons that the Alliance had never seen before pointed at their ships. The broken cargo containers opened to reveal missile launchers. The 3 Alliance ships that had come to watch tried to run. Morning Calm's weapons tracked them easily. 1 shot each. Precise. Perfect. Their engines died, leaving them floating helpless in space. "Alliance vessels," Dojin announced, letting his voice carry to all nearby ships. "Your weapons are disabled. Your engines are offline. Your shields." He paused as Taiwan pressed another button, sending a pulse that shut down their shield generators. "Your shields are now useless." "This is impossible," the Alliance commander said again. "Human ships can't. You can't." "We can," Dojin replied. We always could. You just never looked past the rust to see the truth. Song Me stepped forward. Captain, station security is powering up weapons. Let them. Du Jin said. Morning Calm's real sensors showed him everything. Their weapons can't hurt us. Never could. Through the station's windows, Du Jin could see the Alliance officers who had been throwing rocks at his ship. They stood frozen, staring at the warship that had appeared from beneath the rust. Some dropped their drinks. Others backed away in fear. What do you want? The Alliance commander asked, his voice shaking. First, you will release the transport ship Hope and all its passengers, Du Jin ordered. Then you will free every human ship you've captured today. After that, he looked at his crew, seeing the pride in their eyes. After that, we're going to have a long talk about how the Alliance treats human ships. You can't give us orders. An Alliance officer shouted. We have fleets. We have. Morning Calm fired another shot, so precise it cut a small Alliance fighter in half without harming anything else. The officer fell silent. We have better weapons than you ever imagined, Du Jin said calmly. We have better ships than you ever dreamed. And most importantly, he looked at the station's cameras, knowing his image was being sent across Alliance space. We have more ships like this one. Many more. You just haven't seen them yet. The Alliance commander's face went pale. He was finally understanding. Every rusty human ship they'd mocked might be hiding the same secret. Every primitive vessel they'd laughed at might be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Now, Du Jin said, settling into his real captain's chair, about those transport passengers. Captain, incoming message from Earth Command, Jaya announced. Her fingers moved quickly across her real control panel, no longer pretending to use old equipment. They say, well done, Morning Calm. You may now signal the others. Du Jin smiled. Around his ship, the disabled Alliance vessels floated helplessly in space. Their crews watched through their windows, still shocked by what they had seen. But they were about to see something even more surprising. Send the signal, Du Jin ordered. Let's show them what humanity really has. Jaya pressed a series of buttons. A special signal went out, one that only certain ships would understand. To anyone else, it would sound like random space noise. At first, nothing happened. The Alliance crews started to relax, thinking Morning Calm was alone. Then Taewon's voice came from his station. Captain, look at Docking Bay 23. Everyone watched as an old mining ship's hull began to change. Its dirty surface fell away, just like Morning Calm's had. Underneath was another warship, its weapons already aimed at the Alliance ships. Docking Bay 36. Song Me called out. Another ship was transforming. This one had looked like a broken-down passenger liner. Now it was a sleek military vessel with advanced weapons. One by one, ships across the station began to reveal their true forms. The garbage scow in Bay 42. It was now a missile cruiser. The ancient cargo ship that everyone laughed at. It became a heavy battleship. Even the small repair shuttle that cleaned the station's outer hull transformed into a fast attack craft. Impossible. The Alliance commander whispered over the comm channel. How many? Look at their sensors, Jaya said with a smile. They're finally seeing the truth. All around the station, more ships were changing. The rusty hulls disappeared. The fake engine sounds stopped. The pretend damage vanished. In their place stood the real human fleet, hidden for years in plain sight. Sir, Taewon reported, the Alliance ships in nearby sectors are responding to distress calls. But, he laughed softly, but they're running into the same thing everywhere they go. All the human ships they ignored are revealing themselves. Through their cameras, they could see panic spreading through the station. Alliance officers ran to their ships, only to find them surrounded by human warships that had been disguised as junk. Station security tried to raise their weapons, but stopped when they realized how many guns were pointed at them. Message from the Star Chaser, Jaya said, naming another previously hidden warship. They freed the transport ship Hope. All passengers are safe. Dojin nodded. Tell all ships. Protect human vessels first. Then make sure the Alliance ships behave themselves. A new voice came over the comm system. It was the captain of one of the Alliance ships that had come to watch Morning Calm's inspection. How long? He asked. How long have you been hiding these ships? Years, Dojin replied. Every time you laughed at our primitive ships, you were looking at our best warships. Every time you mocked our space junk, you were standing next to weapons that could have destroyed you. More ships were still revealing themselves. A fuel tanker became a carrier. A small science vessel transformed into a stealth ship. Even some of the station's permanent fixtures turned out to be disguised human weapons. Captain, Song Mai reported, checking her real sensors. Alliance ships are running away from every human port and station in this sector. They're finally realizing that they don't know which ships are real and which are fake. Dojin watched through the windows as the last few ships revealed themselves. The Alliance crews looked terrified now, realizing that they had been surrounded by human warships all along. Every rusty hull they had mocked might be hiding more surprises. Send a message to all Alliance ships, Dojin ordered. Tell them. This is what happens when you judge by appearances. This is what happens when you think you're superior. Remember this day. Remember what you learned about underestimating humanity. Jaya sent the message. On her screen, she could see it being passed from ship to ship across Alliance space. Soon, everyone would know that the weak, primitive humans had fooled them completely. Sir, Todd One said, looking at his displays. I'm counting 30 hidden warships just at this station. Reports are coming in from other sectors. Hundreds more are revealing themselves. Dojin nodded, satisfied. The Alliance had thought humans were weak because they wanted to see weakness. They had believed humans were primitive because that's what humans had let them believe. That mistake was going to cost them everything. Alliance battle fleet approaching. Tactical Officer Hyun Ki reported from his real station on Morning Calm's bridge. 25 ships. They think they can take back the station. Dojin stood calmly at his command post. Around his ship, 15 other revealed human warships moved into formation. They no longer pretended to be slow or clumsy. Their movements were quick and precise. They still think numbers will save them, Song Mai said, watching the Alliance fleet approach. The enemy ships flew in a tight group, their weapons ready. Let's prove them wrong, Dojin replied. Hyun Ki, show us why you're the best tactical officer in the fleet. Hyun Ki's fingers moved across his control panel. A detailed plan appeared on everyone's screens. It was unlike anything the Alliance had seen before. Message from Alliance Command, Jaya reported. Surrender now, and we will show mercy to your primitive fleet. Dojin smiled. Send no reply. Actions will speak louder than words. All ships, execute Hyun Ki's plan. The human ships split into 3 groups. The Alliance commanders laughed, thinking they had scared the humans into running away. They didn't understand what was really happening. First trap ready, Hyun Ki announced. The Alliance fleet flew straight into the empty space between the human ships. They thought they had found a weakness. Then Hyun Ki pressed a button. Hidden mines that looked like space rocks exploded around the Alliance ships. The blasts weren't meant to destroy. They just created clouds of special metal dust. The Alliance ship's sensors couldn't see through the clouds. They're blind, Song Mai reported with satisfaction. Their fancy targeting systems are useless. Second phase, Dojin ordered. The human ships attacked from 3 directions at once. They didn't use normal tactics. Each ship did something different. Morning Calm fired special bullets that stuck to Alliance ships and shut down their engines. Another human ship used magnetic beams to tangle the Alliance ship's antennas. Alliance ships breaking formation, Hyun Ki reported. They don't know how to fight when each enemy uses different tricks. The Alliance commanders tried to rally their fleet. They ordered their ships to stay together, to fight as one group. But they couldn't. Each human ship created a different kind of problem. If they solved one, another would appear. Their flagship is trying to coordinate the defense, Jaya said, listening to Alliance communications. But each ship is calling for help with different problems. Du-Jin watched as the Alliance fleet fell into confusion. Some ships chased after the human vessels, but they were fighting shadows. They're sending out distress calls, Jaya reported, asking for reinforcements. They say they're being attacked by ghosts, by ships that don't fight like real ships. Let their reinforcements come, Du-Jin said. Every Alliance ship that sees this will tell others. They'll learn that humanity doesn't fight like they do. We don't need biggest guns. We just need to be smarter. The battle continued, but it wasn't really a battle anymore. It was a lesson. The Alliance ships, for all their power, couldn't hit what they couldn't understand. Human ships danced around them, using simple tricks to defeat complex weapons. Alliance flagship is signaling surrender, Jaya announced. Several other Alliance ships followed their leader's example. Accept their surrender, Du-Jin ordered. Show them we can be merciful too. As the human ships moved in to secure their prisoners, Du-Jin looked at his crew. They had trained for years for this moment. Every insult they had taken, every laugh they had endured, had led to this victory. Message from Earth Command, Jaya said. They say, well done, Morning Calm. The Alliance fleet that was heading to attack Newton Colony has turned back. They're afraid every human ship they meet might be another trap. Du-Jin nodded with satisfaction. Fear of the unknown is more powerful than any weapon. The Alliance thought they knew everything about us. Their pride made them blind. Through the ship's windows, they could see Alliance crews being rescued from their disabled ships. The mighty Alliance warriors looked confused and scared now. Everything they believed about humanity had been wrong. Sir, Hyun-Ki reported, all Alliance ships are secured. Not one escaped to warn others about our tactics. Good, Du-Jin replied. Let them wonder. Let them worry. Every rusty human ship they see from now on will make them nervous. They'll never know which ones are real and which ones are hiding more surprises. The battle was over, but its effect would spread across space. The story of how a few simple tricks had defeated the mighty Alliance fleet would be told again and again. Humanity had shown its real strength, not in powerful weapons or strong armor, but in cleverness and patience. Security Officer Min Seo walked through the halls of the captured Alliance flagship. The proud Alliance officers now sat in their own brig, their fancy uniforms wrinkled and their faces worried. But Min Seo wasn't interested in the prisoners. She was looking for something else. Captain, she called through her comm link to Du-Jin. You need to see what I found in the commander's private office. Minutes later, Du-Jin and Song-Mi joined her in the Alliance ship. Min Seo pointed to files displayed on the commander's computer screen. Look at these messages, she said. The attack on human ships wasn't just about showing power. Someone was making money from it. Du-Jin read the messages carefully. They showed that some Alliance leaders had been taking bribes. They let criminal groups use Alliance ships to steal from human vessels. The criminals got the cargo, and the Alliance officers got rich. Send copies to Earth Command, Du-Jin ordered, and prepare to broadcast it to all Alliance worlds. On the Morning Calms bridge, Jaya monitored communications across Alliance space. The news of their defeat was spreading fast. Alliance citizens were shocked. Their leaders had told them humans were weak and primitive. Now everyone knew that was a lie. Listen to this, Jaya said, playing a message from an Alliance news station. Their people are angry. They're asking why their military wasted so much money building big ships that couldn't beat primitive humans. More reports came in from across space. Alliance military leaders were fighting among themselves, each blaming others for their failure. Some admitted they had known humans were stronger than they claimed, but they had kept quiet to keep getting more money for weapons. Their whole government is shaking, Song-Mi said, watching the reports. Their people trusted them to be strong and honest. Now everyone knows they were neither. Min Seo's voice came through the comm again. Captain, I found more files. The Alliance leaders knew about our hidden ships months ago, but they kept it secret. They were afraid their people would stop believing in Alliance superiority. Du Jin nodded. This was even better than they had hoped. The Alliance wasn't just defeated in battle. It was being defeated by its own lies. Message from the Alliance Central Council. Jaya reported. They're demanding to speak with human leaders. They sound desperate. Before Du Jin could reply, more news arrived. Alliance warships in other sectors were standing down. Their crews refused to fight, saying they didn't trust their leaders anymore. Some Alliance colonies were asking for human protection, afraid their own government had been lying to them too. Their whole system was built on believing they were better than everyone else, Songmei said. Now that belief is gone. Min Seo returned to morning calm with more evidence. The Alliance leaders had been lying about everything. Their ships weren't as strong as they claimed. Their economy wasn't as rich as they said. They had needed enemies like humanity to keep their people from seeing the truth. Play this message on all channels, Du Jin ordered, handing Jaya a data chip. Let everyone in Alliance space hear it. Jaya's fingers moved across her console. On every screen and speaker in Alliance territory, Du Jin's voice was heard. People of the Alliance, your leaders lied to you about humanity because they were lying about everything. They wanted you to fear us so you wouldn't see their corruption. Look at the evidence we found on their own ships. See the truth they hid from you. The reaction was immediate. Alliance citizens began protesting in the streets of their worlds. Military officers started admitting the truth. Politicians tried to blame each other. The mighty Alliance was falling apart, not from human weapons, but from the weight of its own lies. Their central government is in chaos, Jaya reported. 3 council members have already resigned. Others are trying to escape to distant colonies. Du Jin watched it all from his bridge. The Alliance had thought humanity's rusty ships were their biggest weakness, but humans had turned that lie into a weapon. They had used the Alliance's pride against itself. Sir, Min Seo called. Earth Command says to prepare for peace talks. The Alliance's new leaders are begging for a chance to negotiate. Tell them we accept, Du Jin replied. But remind them, this time they'll be dealing with the real humanity, not the weak mask we showed them before. The mighty Alliance had been defeated twice, first by hidden ships and clever tactics, then by its own dark secrets. They had mocked humanity's rusty ships while their own empire rusted from within. Now everyone knew which civilization had been truly primitive all along. Late in the night cycle, Jaya sat alone in the morning calm's real communications room. The screens around her were quiet now. No more distress calls. No more angry Alliance messages. But she couldn't sleep. On her personal screen, she looked at pictures from the past 3 years. Pictures of people who had thought they were her friends at various space stations. People who had been kind to the poor communication officer on that rusty ship. People she had lied to every day. Can't sleep either, Songmei asked, entering the room quietly. Jaya shook her head. I keep thinking about Maya, that shop owner at Centauri Station. She always saved extra food for us because she felt sorry for our low-paying cargo ship job. She treated us like family. And we were spying on her customers the whole time. Songmei finished softly. They sat in silence for a while. Their ship was clean and shining now, no more fake rust or pretend damage. But both women found they almost missed the old dirty corridors. At least then, they had known exactly who they were supposed to be. In his private cabin, Du Jin looked at his captain's log. 3 years of careful notes about his crew's struggles. Not just the military information they had gathered, but the personal cost of living a lie. He read one entry. Taiwan cried today. An Alliance engineer laughed at our engine room and called us primitive. Taiwan had just spent 6 hours installing a new quantum drive system that was more advanced than anything the Alliance has. But he had to stand there and apologize for our poor maintenance. In the engine room, Taiwan was finally working on their real engines without having to hide. But his hands moved slowly, sadly. For years, he had pretended to be a bad engineer. Other engineers had tried to teach him simple repairs, thinking they were helping. He had acted grateful while knowing he could have taught them things they couldn't imagine. "I don't know who I am anymore," he said to his tools. "Am I the clever engineer who fooled everyone? Or am I the friendly fool everyone tried to help? Which one was real?" Min Seo walked the now clean corridors, her security officer's badge shining on her real uniform. For years, she had played the part of a scared security officer on a weak ship. She had let Alliance officers push her around, pretending to be terrified of them. "But I was terrified," she said to herself. "Not of them. I was terrified of making a mistake. One wrong word, one slip, and I could have ruined everything." In the ship's mess hall, Hyun-ki sat with star charts spread around him. Real star charts now, not the simple ones they had shown visitors. His brilliant battle tactics had helped defeat the Alliance fleet. But he remembered all the times he had pretended not to understand basic space navigation when Alliance officers visited. "They thought they were so kind," he said to the empty room. "Teaching the poor human how to plot simple courses. I let them feel superior because that was my job. But it felt wrong every time." Do-jin walked through his ship, checking on his crew. In every room, he found people struggling with the same problem. They had won a great victory. They had protected humanity. But they had done it by lying to everyone they met. "Captain," Jaya called to him. "I just got a message from Maya at Centauri Station. She saw the news about who we really are. She just wrote one line. I thought we were friends." Do-jin sat with his communication officer. "We did what we had to do," he said. "But that doesn't make it easy." "I know," Jaya replied. "But I keep thinking, some of those people really cared about us. They worried when we seemed to have problems. They tried to help us, and we used their kindness to spy on them." Around the ship, other crew members were having similar thoughts. They had played their parts perfectly. They had fooled everyone. Now they had to live with the price of their perfect deception. "Maybe that's the real strength of humanity," Songmai said, joining them. "Not that we can build better ships or fight better battles, but that we can do what needs to be done, even when it hurts us inside." Do-jin nodded. They had saved humanity from the Alliance, but each of them would carry the weight of their lies forever. That was the true price of victory, not in blood or money, but in the heavy feeling in their hearts when they remembered all the trust they had broken to keep humanity safe. 1 month after the great reveal, Morningcom sat in its special dock at Centauri Station. The dock was new, built just for them. But Do-jin had refused to let them clean his ship completely. He kept one patch of fake rust on the hull, right where everyone could see it. A reminder, he told visitors who asked about it, of what happens when you judge too quickly. Inside the station's main meeting hall, peace talks were happening. Alliance representatives sat on one side, human leaders on the other. But things were very different now. The Alliance people didn't laugh or make jokes about human technology anymore. "The old Alliance Council is gone," Songmai reported to Do-jin as they watched the talks. "The new leaders are mostly young officers who always doubted the humans are primitive story. They're easier to work with." Do-jin nodded. On the screens around them, they could see news from across space. Alliance ships now moved carefully around human vessels, never sure which ones might be hiding more surprises. Every time they saw a rusty human cargo ship, they gave it plenty of space. Message from the Newton colony. Jaya called from her station. "They're building a museum about the hidden fleet. They want Morningcom's fake rust panels for their main display." Taiwan laughed from his engine room. "They also want my fake broken engine parts, and recordings of the noises we used to make. Children love hearing the silly sounds we used to fool Alliance inspectors." The whole crew gathered on the bridge to watch the final peace treaty signing. As part of the agreement, humanity revealed some of their advanced technology. But not all of it. Do-jin had insisted they keep some secrets. "Let them wonder," He had told Earth Command, "Let them always think we might have more surprises hidden away." The Alliance representatives signed the treaty with shaking hands. They had learned that fancy ships and powerful weapons didn't make you strong. The humans they had mocked had beaten them with cleverness and patience. "Look," Min Seo said, pointing to a screen showing the station's docking bays. A new Alliance ship was arriving. But something was different about it. "They're copying us," Hyum-ki realized with a laugh. The Alliance ship was trying to look simple and plain. No more shiny metal or obvious weapons. They had learned that showing off your power wasn't always smart. Later that day, Du-jin walked through Centauri Station's shopping area. The same shops where his crew had once been mocked now had pictures of morning calm on their walls. Children played with toys of human ships that changed from rusty cargo vessels to mighty warships. "Captain Du-jin," called a familiar voice. It was Maya, the shop owner who had been kind to them during their undercover days. She had been angry when she learned the truth, but time had softened her feelings. "You know," she said as he stopped at her shop, "I was hurt when I found out you were pretending. But then I realized something. You could have acted mean or proud. Instead, you chose to be kind, even while undercover. That was real, wasn't it?" Du-jin smiled. The rust was fake. The kindness was real. That's something the Alliance never understood about humanity. We can be strong without being cruel. Back on Morning Calm, the crew prepared for their next mission. They were now famous across human and Alliance space. Everyone knew them as the ship that started the Great Reveal. But fame wasn't why they had done it. "New orders from Earth Command," Jaya announced. "We're to escort the first Alliance trading fleet through human space. Show them how to be good neighbors." "Should we clean up the rest of the ship?" Songmai asked, looking at the remaining patch of fake rust. "No," Du-jin replied. "Leave it there. Every Alliance ship that sees it will remember. Every human ship that sees it will know what we achieved. Not through force, but through patience and cleverness." As Morning Calm moved out of its dock, other ships cleared a path. Alliance vessels, human ships, everyone moved aside with respect. They had all learned an important lesson. True strength isn't always visible on the surface. "Where to first, Captain?" Hyum-ki asked from his station. "Everywhere," Du-jin said. "The galaxy's different now, and we helped change it." The mighty warship that had pretended to be weak moved out into space. Its patch of rust gleamed in the starlight, a badge of honor now. Behind them, human and Alliance ships flew together, learning to trust each other. The age of mockery was over. The age of understanding had begun, and it had all started with a rusty hull that wasn't really rusty at all.